आयो वो रेड टिमर वाला है भाई। हेलो हेलो हेलो। लाइव बकचोदी करनी है क्या? सब चलेगा।
क्या प्रोजेक्ट?
हाँ हाँ
नहीं अभी तो लोग आएंगे, लोग रास्ते में अटके हुए हैं। ठीक है। माता रानी पीछे मुंह क्यों छिपा के बैठी हुई? ठीक है, लेट अस स्टार्ट विद इंट्रोडक्शन।
अरे रुको डब्बा तो लो।
अरे अच्छा हाँ, लाइव भी जाना है ना।
ऑन है ना? बत्ती जल रही है जल रही है।
कहाँ चल रही है? अच्छा
या तो तुम क्लिक से कर लो चीज़ याद रहेगा।
एक मिनट। अनिमेश इंट्रोडक्शन।
किसको इंट्रोडक्शन चाहिए इसका पहले ये बताओ।
नहीं, मुझे मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन नहीं देना है।
हाँ नया फोन है यहाँ पे उस
सिद्धार्थ इज न्यू।
न्यू न्यू।
हाँ न्यू। ठीक है, 3 लोग तो हैं ये। इंट्रो कर ही लेते हैं।
Okay. So if you don't know Rishikesh Mishra, he is the guy who fucked up systems for fun. So after this talk, we will give you discipline to ease your headaches. ठीक है. Basically, he works as a detection engineer as staff in Central One. But apart from detection, he does everything else. Like to finding a way to do the side channel attacks, detect via CPU noise, CPU spikes,
टेम्परेचर डिफरेंसेस, एलईडी बल्ब्स।
anything, everything that not supposed to work on that way, he will make it them to work on that. So this topic is basically talk about on MagSafe, right? In Apple things you'll have this cable with a integrate, a charging integrated. So depending on your battery level, it will show charging, discharging, or not working, something like that. So basically, it is a LED. You can blink it on your way. If you can blink it, you can siphon your data out, right?
So we will do exactly that.
Okay.
Okay, Animesh, अपना इंट्रो दे दो, फिर इन लोगों का इंट्रो ले लेते हैं।
Okay. So I'll go first. My name is Animesh Roy. I do stupid things for a living. This is one of them. Hiring people or taking people on the stage who tries to make chaos in society. So trying to be menace in society. When you see the word hacking or the cyber security, you will look into the bounds, right? कि भैया सफेद कुर्ता पहन के आ गए, अब हम बनेंगे hacker.
हेकुर हेकुर
Okay. Moment we talk about the cyber security consultant, we say people in nice code जाएंगे नेसस टेनेबल रैपिड 7 रेड टीम में गए तो सीएस मिथिक आवे डन रेड टीमिंग खत्म सर्टिफिकेशन पे जाओ तो सीआरटीपी 2 मिनट में बन जाओ कैसे बने कैसे काम करता है हाउ डीसी वर्क्स नो फकिंग आइडिया हाउ दे नो हाउ टू हैक इट सर्वरोस वी नो ticketing we know if you ask the fundamentals of that they have no fucking clue how that works. So we're trying to get those information out, putting in a place so people who wants to get into this field, right? जो हमने start किया था, we started as a not a good place, right? We actually
ये
started
लंच ब्रेक के लिए
taking the
पिज़्ज़ा
stuff,
ऑर्डर करना
start
है,
fixing it.
कितना टाइम लगेगा
ठीक है, अभी जो भी ट्रेनिंग्स होती है, let it be CRTP or ऑफिस सिक्योरिटी होती है, वो फोकस करते हैं डिटेक्शन
लोग
पे
हैं,
कि how you
3
find
8
the
2
rules
10
or
10
how you
लोग
can
हैं,
hack systems.
मेरे ख्याल से
Additional.
3 बड़े वाले में तो हो जाएगा ना।
But hacking
अच्छा
mostly
कितना
happens on
करना
creativity, right? Phishing attacks. Creativity is there, right? Let it be email, voice, WhatsApp. अच्छे अच्छे लोग
टू
छुट्टियाँ
इज
बनते हैं वहाँ जाके।
2 बजे करते हैं,
तो कैसे
1:30
बनते
को ऑर्डर
हैं?
करेंगे तो
It's not about they don't know how it works.
हाँ ठीक है ठीक है।
आप इससे पूछूंगा कि लिंक पे क्लिक करना चाहिए नहीं नहीं। अभी लिंक भेजोगे कि भाई इस पे क्लिक करो आईफोन 16 देखो, क्लिक करना पड़ जाएगा, है ना? So the problem is we have industry looking for talent, and we have people who have talent, and we have people in middle who have certifications, right? So our goal is to figure out a way to put these skilled people out in the place so they can get the job they deserve. अभी सीट और सीसू को पकड़ोगे ना, उनको सबका सर्टिफिकेशन बहुत है, एक सवाल पूछ लो घुमा के नहीं पता, but they're ready to accomplish. And I have a CSO today here as well. The fucking CSO, he will be here.
The fucking CSO. Is it coming?
हाँ.
Oh my god.
So the entire idea of this kind of thing is making hacking illegal again. Okay. So we talk about all kind of types and attacks, offensives, radios, telecom, satellite communications, how you can get into those. Okay. And for that we have a Katora. We'll talk about that after we finish these things.
Begging
So how
bowl.
you can help, contribute, or support us on that. So we'll focus on this talk for now and move forward later on.
इंट्रोडक्शन अभी रखना बाद में रखना है?
हाँ, ये
तो
जो इसको सब जानते हैं?
नहीं मैं नहीं जानता हूँ सर, इंट्रोडक्शन प्लीज।
I work as a senior pen tester right now. I've been into red teaming, I've been into application security. I've been in this field for the last 8 to 10 years now, similar to Mishra ji, but he has experience of 50 years. So
Yeah, because I am a bit too much inspired by Johnny Sins.
yes.
Multiple experiences in parallel.
I have given introduction. So my name is Vatsal. I work for a company called Hazon. It's a media streaming company. So now moving from all kinds of consultancy works, getting bored of client facing things, I finally made a switch to an internal team. So yeah, that's it.
As this side, I am working on the same company right now. I work as a security operations there, using writing detections and prevent what's under that.
So yeah, I'm Siddhartha and I'm working currently as a security researcher at Qualys. So I primarily work on EDR detection rules and as well as vulnerability exploitations, replicating key chains. Right now we are in some R&D phase, developing EBPF-based blocking kind of thing, application blocking kind of thing, even before an malicious process happens. Yeah, in free time I try and build some tools every now and then. Right now I'm trying to build a tool which actually automates the rule generation entire using some pre-trained LLM. That is the idea. Yeah, that's right.
My name is Naveen. I work for a RiskSec company.
Which company?
RiskSec.
Okay.
RiskSec. It's a startup company. Last day before I started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working as a pen testing role in Web 1 API networking, this kind of activities. I have 2 years experience in this role.
Okay.
My name is Gaurav. I'm working as a security test engineer in Citisoft Solutions.
Mm-hmm.
My work is mostly for testing the web applications.
Is everyone comfortable with Hindi?
English.
Okay, fair enough. So, how many of you have heard about side channels? Probably somewhere in news there were some side channels in Intel CPUs. Meltdown, Spectre, there was a lot of noise. How hackers are going to get inside your CPU and steal all those juicy details. Do you remember any of that? No? Okay. So, what are you doing in security then? Okay, so side channel is basically where we do some attack, and instead of going the usual way, that is via some sort of network or like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LAN cable, or some sort of root device, as in backdoor keyboard, mouse, something like that, we basically create something entirely bespoke, entirely different, and the basic premise is that since it is entirely different, chances are pretty good that some other person won't be doing it the same way, and that also means that some other person who is on defensive side, he won't be monitoring that type of activity. Okay, so the result is that by doing so, we kind of go a bit more discreet. We are able to siphon some data or possibly control some stuff, but it is almost impossible to detect. Okay, so the title is Naughty Mag, and the idea is that we will take that stupid LED and try to do something about it, because well, that changes its color, and I like colorful blinking LEDs. So the idea is, if somehow we can do something unholy with that LED and basically torture that cable to leak data for us. Obviously, that cable is not going to leak data for us willingly. I have to torture it. Okay, so a huge part of today's talk is mostly about torturing that stupid cable. You can take same ideas and you can possibly try it on various other devices, assuming you are able to somehow control them directly or indirectly, and then you can kind of copy the same torturing idea there and create your own side channels. Okay, so roughly this is what we are going to talk about. There will be a recorded demo. So this is my introduction. I write detection during day, I break things during night, I am paid for setting things on fire. Okay, and the guilty pleasure, well, setting things on fire, and then I am also rather popular for giving people existential crisis. People stop, they are like that, okay, I met this guy and now I don't want to remain alive, time to go to Himalaya, attain moksha, something like that. Currently working in SentinelOne, detection engineer, LinkedIn QR code, if by any chance you want to connect. Okay, here's the disclaimer. Basically, whatever I am going to blabber about, it is only for educational purpose. Okay, so if you want to try it, do it on your own device. Otherwise, you will be screwed. You will come to me and I will be like, I don't care. I told you. Now comes the introduction part. First question, why? Why will someone like to do something like this? There must be some motive, some incentive. The biggest incentive is that, one, side channels are cool. Two, side channels are notoriously difficult. And by extension, if you are able to build side channels and do something about them, you get some sort of social brownie points, and in the pecking order of hackers, you climb that ladder. Okay, so instead of being someone who is only able to use some tool like Nessus and pretending to be hacker, you can be someone who is writing his or side channels and be actual hacker. So that is the basic inspiration, right? Because, well, it is something, probably no one else has done this. I will try to do it just for some little bit of unholy fun. Okay, now we come to that charging cable. We want to torture it, and before we can torture it, we need to understand whatever the fuck is going on with this shiny new thing that is called MagSafe. It is from Apple, and Apple, in its infinite wisdom, they don't stick to conventions. Like if you take some usual laptop and you dissect its charging cable, there will not be too much smartness in that. At very best, it will be doing little bit of power negotiation to figure out how much voltage and current to push to charge battery safely, but nothing more than that. As long as you are able to supply power, the battery will at least charge. That is not the case with Apple, because screw you, we are Apple, we do things the bespoke way. Again, because screw you, give me money. So if you take a look on that connector, there are basically 5 pins and it is symmetric, so you can connect that MagSafe connector in either way and it will work. So these two extreme ends are basically ground, then we have power lines, and the middle pin is basically one wire protocol, and this is where that power negotiation and a lot of extra stuff is happening. Okay, so whatever we have to do, most probably we will have to do something about this. These two pins are rather dumb, these two pins are rather dumb, this is where the entire smartness thing is happening, and if I want to do something about it, I have to figure out this part and see how I can deal with it. Now, how many of you have MacBooks? Okay, then probably you have seen system information like this about charger, similarly for battery, etc. So this data that you see here, it is coming from this one. Okay, and what Apple has done, that they will basically read this detail, this serial number, etc., and then it will try to figure out if this charging brick and cable, these are actually officially blessed by Apple or not. And if it is not officially blessed by Apple, it will not charge the battery, because fuck you, pay me money. Now it is somewhat clear that okay, there is some data going on. Okay, we know that some data transfer is happening through that cable via that middle pin, but here we don't know anything about that LED yet. Okay, this is the type of information that the laptop is pulling from that, and it is also basically controlling that LED. And how it is happening is that there is an addressable switch, and addressable switch is basically that is software accessible. Okay, and by writing something to that switch, you can either turn it on or turn it off. So it is somewhat like a transistor configured as a switch, where you are basically controlling that emitter pin digitally. Okay, and there are two switches, because well, there are two separate sets of LEDs, one is orange, one is green. So depending upon which LED you want to turn on, you will have to use that particular switch, and that is happening between the MacBook and charging cable. Okay, it has nothing to do with charging brick, it has to do with the MacBook and charging cable itself, and the LED is being switched by MacBook. It is not the cable that is sensing how much voltage and current is being drawn and try to figure out whether the battery is charging or it is on standby or whatever. It is the MacBook that is explicitly setting that LED color, whether the battery is full or not. Okay, this is the entire startup protocol for that charger, and this charger has this entire elaborate startup protocol because again Apples are, they will do things their own way. So the basic idea is this will come handy in case you want to dissect that cable and want to test it out without involving a MacBook, because if you screw up the cable it is cheap to replace. If you end up damaging your charging port on MacBook, you sir are screwed. So if you want to trick that charging cable and power brick into thinking that it is actually connected to a MacBook, you have to implement it on the other side. Okay, and the idea is very simple. Before the cable is connected, it will supply only 3 volt DC, and this is mostly a safety measure. By chance if you touch the pin or something happens or there is some accidental short circuit, we don't really want a lot of current to be drawn and basically japping someone out or becoming a fire hazard. So this is basically a safety decision. You connect that cable to MacBook. Inside the MacBook there will be a resistive load, a simple resistance, okay, and it will be applied between the power and ground. And once that happens, the input voltage will drop again, and this will happen because here in this stage the charging brick is not going to supply a lot of current. And in school you read about that the current being flown is basically voltage divided by resistance something something, right? And resistance is rather low, which means that it at 3 volt it draw more current than charger is willing to supply. So as a consequence the voltage will be dropped. The charging brick is basically waiting for this voltage to drop. But I was supplying 3 volt, there is a resistive load, but since I am not supplying enough current, the voltage has dropped to somewhere around 1.5 volt. Once this part happens, that is how the charger brick knows that okay, we have something connected at the other end, and now probably we can start supplying higher voltage and more current. So at this stage it will switch to full volt depending upon the model number and exact wattage of the brick. It will be somewhere around 14 volt to 20 volts. For smaller ones it will be around 13-14 volt. For bigger ones like 140 watt or something, it will be around 18 to 20 volts, but this is the usual range. Voltage is increased here. Mac is waiting for voltage to increase. Once this happens, your MacBook knows that the charger is now ready to supply the full power, and at this stage it will use that middle pin and try to pull the data that okay, what is the serial number, what is the power rating, etc., etc., and then it will figure out whether that charger and cable are officially blessed by Apple. And once everything is in order, then Mac will basically switch the power and it will start drawing power from the cable while also simultaneously supplying power to battery management, which is going to take care of battery charging. Okay. In the last step, it is the MacBook that is switching the LED, green or yellow or something else. This gave me an idea that if it is Mac OS, or rather it is the MacBook which is setting the LED, there are two possibilities here. One is that it is completely hardwired, as in it is the battery management circuit which is detecting whether the battery is full or not full, and that circuit is bypassing everything and setting the LED directly. Okay, because that is the cheapest way you can pull it off. Or since it is Apple, there is also a possibility that Apple went its own way and figured that hey, we will do it the difficult way. We will do it from software again because we are Apple and fuck you. Now there are some extra third-party software available for MacBook which can basically control your battery charging. People use those to limit the charging to 80%, 60%, or specify some weird charging patterns with a hope that they will be able to use that battery for 6 months more. But the problem is, those software, they do not change the battery, that LED color. So I was looking at projects, their issue trackers, and well, people are asking the question that I have set the limit to 80%. For me, for all practical intents and purposes, if battery is at 80% level, it is full. Might as well make that LED green. And this ticket is actually closed. There are people replying, I am not sure this is possible. While this was happening, this is in Feb, this is in March, this happened. There is yet another company, they also make their battery charging management software called Al Dente. They released this PR piece, and this became really popular all the way till Hacker News, and it was upvoted all the way till front page that, oh my god, this software can control that goddamn LED, we can finally make it green. Except this part is closed source. Closed source. This software is available in open source, but not all features are there. And they gated this. We can change the LED color, but not in open source. Pay me sweet, sweet money. At this stage, we know that it is not that simple battery management and hardware circuit that is changing the LED color. It is, one, happening entirely in software. Two, it is controllable from user mode, because Mac OS does not let us inject anything inside kernel. And if it is happening from user mode, there must be some sort of API or function call which can control this LED directly or indirectly. The only question is, how do we find it? So someone linked it here that, hey, not sure how they did it, but there is more information about it, and they have basically linked that same PR piece, except this PR piece does not talk about how to control that LED. Okay, so here at this stage we know that whatever we are trying to imagine is actually possible. The only problem that we have to solve is to somehow figure out how to pull this off. And an extreme way will be to basically purchase that software, let it do its thing, and then reverse engineer the heck out of it. That is the last resort that we can go, but we can try to figure out what is possible without going to that level of extremities. Okay, so I did some stuff. Some nights were spent. Okay. Eventually, what it turns out that there is no direct API. Okay, but this LED part is controlled via something called SMC, System Management Chip. SMC is accessible from user mode. There are APIs. There is this framework called IOKit. IOKit can talk to SMC, and then SMC can talk to a lot of extra hardware present in the MacBook. Okay, we cannot talk to hardware directly, but through SMC we can make things happen. And obviously LED is also getting controlled via SMC. So we come to the controlling the MagSafe. So this is bunch of code that you can basically copy paste and write rest of the stuff to make this into some sort of tool if you desire so. So the idea is that we have to open some sort of master port, and then we want to find that device called Apple SMC. Then we open that device, the service is opened here, and then this is the value that we want to write in the SMC, and this is that structure where we want to fit this data and specify which key we want to write into, and this is for reading something back from SMC in case we want to find something out. So we basically prepare all this structure. We specify the key that we want to write into, we specify the data that we want to write into, and we specify the data size. Okay, and then we just call this method, specify the input structure. This is the device connection, and we basically asking it to write using this connection where we opened the SMC. We want to write this input structure, that is specifying the key, data and data size, and then it is done. The only problem is that here we want to find this key and this data. Okay, this is not properly documented, because why will Apple document it? Because screw you. But this is the table that you can use to blink LEDs in various patterns. This is the key that controls the LED. Depending upon the value that we write, something happens to the LED. If we write 00, it will restore to system control. 01, LED is off. 03, it is green. 04, it is orange. 06, slow blinking orange. 7, fast blinking. 25, it will blink once and then LED will go off. So these are the values that I was able to find. I am not really interested in these. I want to blink it manually. I am not interested in this either, except maybe at end of a transmission where I just want to send the control back to macOS. I am more interested in these two, green and orange. Okay, and off one. So basically if I turn it to green, then off, then green, then off, then effectively I am blinking it sort of manually, where I can control the duration for which the LED will be on and the duration for which the LED will be off. That level of control I am not going to get here. So we are going to use these three and basically blink the LEDs. So we can blink the LED. Now the next step is to basically torture this contraption and figure out some way to leak data outside MacBook using these three. Okay, so from software side we can blink the LED. From outside MacBook we can have a camera that can record that charging cable. It may be a CCTV, we can probably place a discrete camera hidden somewhere, whatever, doesn't really matter. All we care about that blinking video should be recorded, and we will do some sort of analysis to recover data from it. Now we want to make a side channel, and these are the constraints. We have nothing more than one LED, one and only one LED actually. Okay, we want to recover data by recording a video, and the video can be grainy, the quality may be off, and if the LED is turned off, it is not really visible easily inside video. So we can't really use off state for any actual data transmission, which means that we have only these two options to encode the data. Okay, and this will be inserted just to make it blink. So now we need to find to encode data using two separate states of LED. Question: how can I do that? Any electronics and communication guy? Anyone? Sir, you should know the answer to this question. Okay, yes, binary is one option. Anything else?
On and off.
I will make it go on and off, but then what? I need to find some way to encode the data in these two separate states. So yes, 0 and 1 is one option, but that is not really a good idea. And if you studied communication theory in your college, you should know why that is not a good idea. Can you recall why that is not a good idea?
Generally we use NOT gates and NAND gates to actually transmit the data in general.
Yes.
But in the negation purposes, all the data transmissions circuits we design will be from the NAND gates only, NAND and not.
No, that is fine. We are not designing gates here. We are only concerned about that these two output states. Doing the binary transmission here is a bad idea. Question: why?
We lose some data.
Where?
Maybe
Require much time to process.
No, the processing is happening offline. It is not real time. I am just recording the video and I have all the time in this universe to process that video.
maybe the data is very big, so in binary it will be much bigger than 3.
Let us assume the data is small. Not really a problem. Even for small data, using binary here is a bad idea.
Null byte.
Nope.
We have to encode into some structure to access the data, not quite binary.
Why? That is the $1,000,000 question. Why not binary?
Not a communication student, but power fluctuation plays a role over here.
Nope.
Do AC current?
Nope. Okay. How many of you studied electronics? Only you? 2 people. Nice. Do you recall terms like clock jitter, clock skew, propagation delay, setup time violation, hold time violation? Are you feeling ashamed now? They're just accepting. Oh yes, I am ashamed. I am very much ashamed. So the problem is, if I do simple binary encoding here, and for whatever reason if I have to stream a sequence of ones or sequence of zeros, I have a problem, because clock skew is a thing. The clocks at the MacBook end and my video processing end, they will drift apart, and then what will happen that I transmitted say 16 ones and I am reading only 14 ones or maybe 20 ones, and the entire data is basically garbage now. We can't really use that. So the question is, what can we do about it? So this is the problem for binary stream. The question, is there something that we can do about it?
We can encode into something which adds a certain.
Chances are pretty good that the solution was also covered in your communication theory class.
Yeah, I do remember that we encode certain null bytes in the. There is some form of encoding option which we use.
It has a particular name.
Yeah.
Sorry? Nope. That is error detection. The stuff you are talking about is actually used. There are 2 actually, and they have some very specific names. What are the names? Holy shit, bro. Time to revise your syllabus. Okay. Do you recall something like self-clocking signaling? Self-clocking signaling. Self-synchronization signaling? We need both. So, self-clocking is basically we transmit data and timing, both information in same signal. And after this, there are some more topics which discuss different ways of self-clocking signaling. So what are those ways? This was also in your syllabus. My man, try to recall. This was in your syllabus. Okay. Do you remember studying about modulation? Amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, phase modulation, binary phase shift keying, Manchester encoding. Are you feeling ashamed again? So that is the solution here. You need something like binary phase shift keying, and in that you are basically modulating the phase instead of amplitude and frequency. So that is one way of doing things. We can do something like that. But there is one more way.
What tools do you use to actually do that?
Sorry?
Binary phase shifting in this particular use case, how do you, what tools do you use to do that?
I am not using binary phase shift keying here.
But in general, what is the idea?
In general, the idea is that you need first you convert your data to binary, okay, and then you apply something like Manchester encoding. You get a sequence of highs and lows, and you basically encode those highs and lows into separate states. So the previous paper that I presented before this last year, that leaks data using temperature fluctuations, and in that I have used Manchester encoding. So I think the PPT is somewhere on LinkedIn. You can try to find it on my profile. I have talked about that, but here I am not using that because here we have one more nifty little trick that again is taught in communication theory. Is there something else that we can do about it? Apart from that self-clocking signaling, synchronization, binary phase shift keying. Okay, how many of you have watched Hollywood movies related to fantasy and something like that? Hollywood movies? Do you remember radio communications? Where radio just go beep, 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 beep. Exactly. Morse code requires two steady states. We have two steady states. Problem fucking solved. There is no fluctuation. There is no state where you are like, okay, I don't know this is what this is. This is 10% green, 80% orange, and 10% something else. This is set of two very discrete and steady states. Just use Morse code and be done with it.
If you use Morse code,
Yes.
so currently you mentioned that we will lose the data because of the clock synchronization, right? So if you don't,
We are going to use a little bit of trick to leak timing information as well. That part is taken care of here, and that is why instead of encoding orange and green as dot 0 or 1, we are encoding that using transition. Computer science folks, raise your hands. थोड़ा और ऊपर. वत्सल, 13वीं फेल हो? 13वीं फेल? Okay, ठीक है. In computer science, there was a subject called computer architecture, and before that, there was a subject called digital electronics. And somewhere in that semester-long subject, there was a topic where we were basically encoding some data in those data buses, and there are bunch of clocks involved, and that book says in passing remark that these circuits are triggered on basically either rising edge or falling edge. They are edge triggered, not level triggered. And right before that, the book also talks about edge trigger and level trigger. How many of you remember that? Okay, anyone else? Feeling ashamed? Please say yes. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to encode this in this changing state. Okay, and by controlling this changing state, we will also leak the timing information that will be used at time of processing the video. Okay, basically we want to include timing data to figure out that what is the time length for dot and what is the time length for dash, because Morse code uses only dot and dash. Once we do this, problem is pretty much solved. Okay, so we are going to use Morse code, and this is how we are going to encode it. Green is 0, orange is 1, dot is 1 0, as in it starts from orange, goes to green. Dash is 2 lengths for orange and then goes to green. And then if we want to insert blank space, that is 00. Now if we do this in any arbitrary stream, we cannot have more than 2 consecutive ones. There can be multiple zeros in chain, but not more than 2 ones in the chain. Okay. So to recover the timing, here we only care about length of dash and dot. What we do in the video, we basically try to find this longest range for orange. We assume that it is dash. We take shortest range for orange, that is here. And for my encoding, it is basically 1 to 2 ratio. Okay. For sanity check, we can repeat it in different time stamps in the video. For sanity check, to ensure that yes, we are getting the ratio very close to 1 to 2 for this particular encoding. And that is how we basically figure out the timing information. We don't care about 0. We only care about this one. So this is the leaking data. Let us assume that we want to leak this hello world. So this gets converted into Morse code. This is dot, this is dash. This is basically a separator. Okay, so from here to here it is hello, from here to the end it is world, and from here I convert to this by using this one. For each dot I put 1 0, for each dash I put 1 1 0, and for space I can put 00. So here 1 0 1 0 1 0 yada yada yada, that is going on. We have this stream, then I just read this stream in loop. If it is 1, I make it orange. If it is 0, I make it green. And the leaking part is basically done. It is as simple as that. Okay, and then we just record this using some sort of video camera, and rest of the stuff happens on video feed. Now we want to recover the data. We already talked about it. 1 0, it is 1 tick. Here 1 1 0, this duration is 2 ticks. Okay, and then we do the sanity check. And this is we are doing because, well, frames can be dropped, frames can be corrupted, camera can become shaky, whatever. We want a sanity check. So we do this. And what we do, we basically process the video frame by frame, and we wait for a specific marker that will basically tell us that okay, the transmission starts here, and then we will do this weird dance until we encounter another marker called end of transmission. This part I have not done here. This is left as an exercise, and this is your self synchronization scheme that was covered in your BTech. So back to basics, read the book, implement that part. We basically count the frames for different LED colors, and then based on the number of frames we figure out how much time it took, and from there we basically map it to 1 and 0, and by doing that we eventually end up with this stream again, and then we basically decode it to this one. Okay, so for decoding we need this specific order because there can be multiple zeros, but not more than 2 ones. So we start from here. 1 1 0, everything becomes dash. 1 0, everything becomes dot. 0 0 is blank space, and after doing this we end up with this, and then we decode the Morse code to this one. So demo time. This is the LED that I am talking about. Transmission. And just by having a video like this and a flickering LED, we can basically get some sort of data out of it, and this is basically transmitting the same hello world. Now comes the decoding part. From the video frames, blacks are ones, whites are zeros, we get this stream, and chalo ja bhai, okay, so we replace 110 to dash, 10 to dot, 00 to space, and then decoding back to hello world. Now improvements. Okay, what is wrong with this scheme? Before we can improve, we need to figure out what is wrong with this scheme. So tell me, what is wrong with this scheme?
Practicality, you can't transfer big amount of data. Someone has to
My man, if I only want to steal missile launch codes from Pakistan,
you have to monitor that daily.
yes, I can bribe someone to install a CCTV camera which is giving me footage. I mean, that is a country of beggars. Bribing is not going to be very difficult. Okay, first thing, this whole scheme is a bit too visible. Why? Because if someone is using that laptop and he will see that flickering LED, he will assume that the cable has gone bad, and he will like, time to purchase a new cable, boys. We are,
Remove and plug it in.
yes, then that is the problem. We don't want it to happen. Okay, and then there are general improvements as well, that I have not used error correction, error detection, synchronization, etc., etc. In practice, you should be using that, but that is the different point. The biggest point is that it is a bit too noisy. So for that, what we can do, we can make our own fake cable, and that connector has enough empty space where we can show some sort of antenna and try to leak the data using that antenna instead of LED. For that, there is a problem that it will be rather weak, so we need the detector somewhere close enough. If we don't want to do that and we can replace that entire cable, we can use that entire cable itself as antenna. And if the power brick is giving us 140 watt, and even if laptop is rather stressed and it is consuming 139 watts, 1 watt is enough to transmit it outside the building, and that is all I care about. Or if I want to go even fancier, I can probably modify the charging brick itself. That is going to be even easier for me, and then we can basically do this entire stuff that way, except there will be a little bit of change. The charging brick will need modified protocol, because most of the communication happens between that connector and laptop, and from this charging brick and laptop, that happens only at when you connect the cable, when it is reading that serial number, etc. So we have to modify that part as well. But if you are going to that extreme, well, it is doable, and it will be kind of invisible. No one is coming to office with a SDR trying to find, okay, now I want to know what sort of radio waves are present here. No one is doing that. Okay, so we can do something like this. I was trying to pitch this idea of improvement to someone else, but so far no luck. Now, countermeasures. SOC people, suggest me some countermeasures. You are not allowed to resign. Okay, so don't say that you will resign and go to Himalaya. That is not allowed. What you will do here? You can't really do a lot of things, because that is the whole point of side channel. You can try to do something about it only when you know about this specific side channels. There is no general witch hunting. There is no general threat intel or threat hunting that is going to reveal anything like this. But apart from that, you can probably keep a tight control on your supply chain and basically ensure that your device is not running some extra funny code, because end of the day I need that extra funny code inside the laptop to do this sort of stuff. Beyond that, well, you can't really do anything about it. So, thank you. Questions?
Is there anything like data available on the FMC side you are opening that connection to SMC.
Even if it is, I think that will be probably available, but that does not tell you much about it, because there will be a lot of things which will be talking to SMC for a lot of random stuff.
But in this case, it would not come with like cable with bunch of.
All you get to know that this particular software is talking to SMC. You don't get to know that SMC is talking to this hardware.
Okay.
But through IOKit, we know that it is talking to SMC.
IOKit, yes, it will be talking to SMC, but then a lot of other things are talking to SMC. It is like saying that, okay, this is opening a socket on network. A lot of things are opening socket on network. That is not a marker. You need more than that. And you will not really be able to pull that key and value stuff if the binary that I am using is properly notarized, signed and sealed, because I can steal the certificate.
Can you tell me a realistic scenario where you can actually employ this data linking mechanism?
Why will I tell you that?
Educational purposes.
No, I will milk it. I will not tell you.
So using this LED from a charger,
Hmm.
so all the motherboards also have LEDs for different type of sensors.
Okay.
So
If it is software controlled, you can turn.
so almost all of them, you said addressable LED. This is addressable switch, right?
Okay.
So just from other perspective, almost all the gaming equipments have addressable LED.
Fair enough.
So and it is controlled by software. And
Fair
software
enough.
is a, I guess, user mode only.
Yes.
All are running by users. You can control based
Yes.
on sound, or based on game you're playing, or based on music you're playing. So
Make a
you
side
can,
channel out of it.
yeah. So we can use the same thing.
Here. Yes. Yes.
from user mode.
Yes. Any more questions?
So are you planning to do that? The release?
Bro, I do it first, then reveal it to public.
No, I'm saying, are you working on it already? That's the
No comments. Okay, I think we can take a little bit of break. Animesh?
चलो इसको निपटाते हैं, फिर लंच करेंगे. अभी भी 30 मिनट्स दिखा रहा है, बहुत बढ़िया. ओके, नाउ विल स्टार्ट fun topics. So, okay, nice. I don't know how to go back. Awesome. All right. So, radio frequencies, fun, pain, and profit. Right. So the topic I'm taking today, it's older than me. Okay. To get you guys hooked into telecom and how RF works. From there, we're gonna move forward. This is 2G, then we go into 3G, 4G, and then we get into 5G, and that will where we start researching and doing the protocol fuzzing and all kind of things. Okay, so get started. Everyone here are using phone, right? So everyone is using something called smartphone, not a phone. And you'll see some logos in phone, right? 4G, 5G, VoLTE, something like that. So each and everything means something to your phone, to your telecom networks, to your BTS, and everything around it. So today we're going to focus on 2G. So remember your older phone, that Nokia 3310, right? That has just two functions, call and SMS. No MMS, nothing else. Just two functions, right? So you will have seen this towers. They'll have some boxes in it, right? So each node can control up to 40 to 50 phones calls at any given time. So multiple of these, depending on locations. Tower can be on the highest locations, or it can be on a rooftop of some buildings, right? So this one, again, even in India, we are the only country who's running 2G, Edge, 3G, 4G, and 5G. Other countries has pretty much, put these things aside. They're only focusing on 4G and 5G, right? Because we have these things still available to us. Having such tools like a SDR or a rogue BTS network, you can pretty much intercept this telecom signals, broadcast your own messages, or pretty much you can jam these things for your fun and profit. So who am I? My name is Animesh Roy. I lead meme gangs for cats, and I work as a red teamer for as a consultant. Okay, I hack for fun and pain because, of course, this is what we can do. Right. I have a company called Arishti Security that we are leading for services, consulting, and researches. And now we're starting a new foundation called Vapur Shiksha. We're going to announce it very soon. So this is focusing on, again, the same thing we were talking about earlier, making hacking illegal again. So that's our focus, and Chaos Color will be part of it. Okay, currently it has no legal value to it, right? It's just a name that we are using to have fun and profit. Okay, so what's a IMSI? You guys heard about phone numbers, IMI number, right? There's something called IMSI number. So every single phone, every single numbers, when you use your SIM card, it will have a globally unified identifications. Okay, it doesn't matter you are in India, you are in Afghanistan, you're Pakistan, Singapore, Thailand, it will be uniquely identifiable in every single location. Okay, so if I have this information available to me, what I can do? So your phone will broadcast these things to your nearest BTS tower, right? You will have this phone signals, what do you call it? Indicators, right? It will hold multiple networks or towers in it. So usually it will be have like something like, go for older phones. They'll have network bars. If you don't have a network, you put your phone up, you will get some bars and can make a call. So basically your phone tries to connect to your nearest tower, and that tower will allow you to communicate. So how the communication happens? Your phone will broadcast something, tower will broadcast something back. Now this is what we'll talk about in the next meetups. We get into the protocols, how handshake happens, how communication starts, and how we do the video voice calls. I'm waiting on the hardware. I don't have it, so once we get it, we'll have it in proper way. Okay, so 2G networks, no authentications, plain protocol, just like our older internet protocols like DNS, TCP/IP. So what older protocols you know about? HTTP, SMTP, FTP, Telnet. None of this protocol has a security in it, right? These are designed to do a job. Once you get the communication, that's it. mission accomplished. Now we start putting security in it, right? Top of it. So for HTTP we got HTTPS, FTP we got SFTP or SSH, right? For telnet we got SSH, SMTP we got SMTP secure, right? So again, this is designed to start a communication. At that time, no one was a hacker to try to hack these things. Even the hardware was very costliest, right? So you cannot have these things in your home and run your own network. Now it's possible. So we're gonna do that. Okay. So how this works? So first we need a SDR. Okay. So we're gonna broadcast a signal, and that will talk to each and every phones depending on this different smartphones. If we can downgrade them to 2G or GSM network, right? Your phone will find the signals. They'll try to communicate back. Okay. How many of you remember something called NTLM attacks, relay attacks? Responder, right? You signed a ping and the hash will be signed by Microsoft to your NTLM server, right? Same thing happens here. I will broadcast my own BTS. Your phone will connect to it with the IMSI number. So if I have this IMSI number, it will allow me to see which network you are part of it, like your telecom operator name might be Vodafone, Airtel, Idea, whatever the things comes in. Geo won't be a part of it because Geo started with 4G, right? So there's no Geo net name or phone number we can see it here. Airtel we can see, Idea we can see, Vodafone we can see, and other things, right? Now, depending on where we are, we can go for either 900 megahertz to up to 500 megahertz, something like that. There's a network bandwidth. Every networks operates on a separate bandwidth, and this is where we had 2G Ghotala, right? So this bandwidth will be sold by government to different telecom operators, and they will use it to broadcast their own signals. Again, running an SDR, you can switch to any frequencies, see the data, or broadcast your own signal. Highly illegal, should not be broadcasting, you should be receiving. It's not illegal yet. Okay, so if I start broadcasting in this room, right, the nearest tower, it can be like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer away from here, but the nearest one will be my BTS network, right? So your phone will try to communicate or try to connect to this network. Again, I won't be connecting you to my network. I'll just take the information and kick you out. So your IMSI number, telecom operators, and other information that is known as like public information will be part of my computer. I can see these informations, but I won't connect you to my network, so you cannot make call through my BTS. Okay. Again, depending on your phone, it can be downgraded to 2G, right? So most of the time you might be heard in security conferences that talk about if you're using 4G or 5G, always enable these functions, right? So you should not get downgraded to 2G. Technically, your smartphone will go down to 2G by default. Okay. And again, if you have these things in place, we can capture the informations. If you put this kind of devices in multiple locations in a city, I can pinpoint your locations no matter where you are, without calling you, without tracking your phone, just collecting the passive informations. Okay. For that, we're going to use the most hateful subject of our life, math, to triangulate your locations, and then calculate based on the signal frequencies, the strong signal range, and then we can pinpoint your location up to 5 meters in a dense city area. Okay. And how is it to set up? We'll look into that in a bit. Okay. So some key capabilities when I ignore it. So first, we can identify your phone depending on how, even we have millions of devices, IMSI number will be unique to you. So if I know this number, I can track you anywhere and everywhere as long as I can have this information available to me. Okay. We can track your locations. Okay, depending on how many devices we have in a city or geographic locations, we can pinpoint your locations up to 10 meters to even a single meter. We can also intercept call and SMS. We are not going to do that. That's highly illegal. You might have heard about an attack called SS7. That's a protocol that allows you to communicate on SMS protocol. If I have my own network in place, I can see this SMS coming to my BTS, and because it's controlled by me, I can see the messages that you're sending because it's unencrypted. We can do a DOS attack, right? So most of the cell jammers that we see or use based on the same things, right? When you broadcast gibberish signals, so your phone cannot connect to anything. And then downgrade attacks. If your phone supports it, I can force your phone downgrade to 2G communications, and then I can read your messages or OTPs. Again, it only works with SMS, not RCS. Most of Android devices, updated version will be using something called RCS. If you have RCS, this won't work. Okay, your phone will give you either error message. If you did not configure it properly, your phone will send a SMS that we can read by this kind of attacks. Okay, who use it? LEA, right? Legals, they will be using it to track your locations, not yours, but the criminals. Okay, corporates. So, for example, if I'm looking for some delegations from China, I can have these things at different locations. I can see where they're moving into. Again, IMSI will be uniquely identifiable. We're going to see some data as well. So, if you look for a specific country code or specific location or specific devices, we can track it by this way, right? Criminal activities. Anyone who is still not over with their ex? You still love your ex? Get their IMSI number. You can track her anywhere and everywhere as long as you have these devices in places, right? Protest monitoring. Some place you'll have some people setting for like Go Green initiatives or India against corruptions, things like that. You can put these things on places to capture and identify each and every phones on that particular locations, right? Also border control. Okay, so India have multiple open borders, which we have Bhutan, Nepal, some places in Bangladesh, right? Some places nearby Pakistan border, we also have like no monitoring over there as well for some reason. So this allows you to monitor those telecommunications networks, and you can also see if any new phones comes into your network, it will be visible to your dashboard. Okay. Some implications: privacy is a bitch, and we don't own it here, right? Because your phone will broadcast these things no matter what to communicate or to establish the communication, right? Again, it's for 2G, not 5G. Okay. The 2G have multiple vulnerabilities, so SS7 is one of them that allows you to intercept calls and SMSs. So we can expose those things as well. Now, depending on organization, you might have like older phones. Many government will give you this dabba phone, right? If you have this kind of things in place, you pretty much compromise each and every devices. Same thing goes with IoT. In some places, they will be using a 2G modem to connect to their IoT dashboards or networks to send SMS or receive commands, and that will be triggered some sort of ICS systems, and that will trigger some motors or something like that in place, right? And trust in mobile networks. Do we trust our mobile networks? Answer will be yes, right? If I have a Geo SIM, if I make a call to Vatsal, I'm assuring that I'm calling him only, right? But if I have this kind of things in place, we can reroute call to anyone else and have fun with it. This thing already happened accidentally in past. You might have remembered something called call crossing. You're calling someone, call cross to someone else. It happens accidentally, but it can be done intentionally as well, right? Now, detections. We can't do shit about it until unless we have SDR in place. Okay. Some mobile applications are out there, like Snitch will allow you to see your phone communications and to see if any rogue networks comes into the play. Okay. Available on Android, paid in iOS. Okay. Again, the best idea is if you're not using 2G, if you're in city area, disable 2G directly. Use only 5G or 4G networks. Okay. Awareness. We are not awareing you to how this can be used. We are going to show you how you can use it for fun, right? So go for a quick demo. So this is a device, right? I have a power bank, a Raspberry Pi, a SDR, and a stupid antenna. Okay. Can you pack this thing inside your bag? Yes. Can you use a solar powered power bank to power a Raspberry Pi? Again, answer is yes. If you have this kind of setup, 10 inside a 10 kilometer radius, can you capture each and every devices? Of course, yes. Depending on each and every nodes, you can create a central cluster. We can monitor each and every device's signal strength, and then you triangulate any of these phone numbers or the uniquely identified numbers to a pinpoint locations. This is a good idea? Pretty much no. But yeah, you can do it. So basically, I'm running a simple scanner to see how many signals available on GSM 900, mostly commonly used in India by multiple telecom operators to operate on these frequencies. right? So find Idea, Vodafone, VI is part of this too, right? Yeah, and sometimes Airtel, depending on the piggybacking with these telecom operators. Okay, and this is will show you some information. So which frequencies are operating into, okay, their MCC value, the power, like signal strength, and the CID values. So CID can be again for this specific tower IDs that we can use to detect where the physical location is, and from that we can triangulate based on our locations. Genuine tower, we're going to create a fake ones. Okay, so if we configure it properly, we can tune to the frequencies, and we should be able to see something going on. Shit, did not work. What the fuck? 1 second. Okay, it's working. All right. So when you tune in the first on this frequency, it won't be on the pinpoint location. It will a little bit tweak it until you see some stupid data coming in the screen like this. So basically now this STR is receiving all the information, but again makes no fucking sense. 2B what? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna decode it. Okay, you can use Wireshark. There's a plugins for that. It can allow you to decode in live stream. You can use T-Shark to take the stream, filter it, decode it, and then save it in a file. Again, being lazy, or use a third-party tools. It's available on internet. You download it, install this CAPI. That's the only module you need, and NumPy, and it allows you to basically sniff that traffic, right? And it'll start decoding this information for me. And you can see the moment it starts looking into this, we're getting the information for Vodafone India, Idea, and all the networks with the country code. Okay, so depending on your SIM, you will have few informations that will be broadcasted. So MZ, state. In India, we have this roaming system going on, right? So each state will have their own uniquely identifiable numbers, and then we're going to have something called country. Again, in India, it will be India. For other countries, you're going to see the country name as well. I don't see it here. Trust me, it will show up. Okay, so if I go back to this, and you can see all the information in plain text available to us, right? I do not have any other countries so far. Okay, so basically what this showing up, this will be your uniquely identifiable numbers. If I know your phone, this number of your phone, that will be your same subscriber number. I can put the devices in multiple locations, and you can use these to track your locations. So you can be your own FBI